What is up? Hey everyone. Welcome to Thursday. Back on Thursday schedule. I love being on Thursdays. I mean, it's been a couple Saturdays here and there, Sunday, so we're back on Thursday and back home. It's good. You like that promo? I mean, I've run it a few times now. You like that promo? Dave Stabley made that for me. I mean, if you need any graphics made, you want something made up, go to Dave Stabley. Hit me up on Messenger. I'll get you. I mean, he made that up. I mean, I don't think it took him very long at all. I mean, he's like, I want to get you a promo, and bam, got it. I've run it a few times. People have asked me where the other one went. I'm working on it. People are sending me videos. So if you want to be included, like the last time where I had individuals say Rocket with B-Rock and all that, I've got a couple more new ones. So I'm revamping that and going to run that too. So it's coming back. Don't worry. It's coming back. I know people have said, where am I at? You're still there. It's coming back. All right. Tonight we have Pete Fry from FARCRY. They got... they're doing the M pre-party right before Dave Dillman's M pre-party, right before M3 this year, and they are on the bill. And for a while they've been on my radar. I mean, I checked out a song or two here and there. They've been on my radar, and I was like, oh wow, I got FARCRY's on there. Wow, okay, they're really good. So I'm like, okay, now I gotta go. So, it's always that one band that you got to see. Last year was Accept at M3, so I had to get there. Last minute thing, I had to get there. This year it's FARCRY. I gotta see them. I mean, and the bill's fantastic. Dave Dillman did a fantastic job with it. That to me is a little better than the lineup that's at M3 right now. So let's get down to it and get Pete Fry in here, the lead guitar player of FARCRY.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, what's happening, man? How we doing?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
I'm doing okay now, man. But out of work, doing my thing now. This is like, it's way better than work. I mean, if I could turn this into a full-time job and get paid for it, I'd be all right. But
I hear you.
But you don't want to turn this into a paying gig because then it takes the fun out of it. Then it's like a job. So it's all good.
Yeah, I hear you. I totally get what you're saying, right. And it doesn't pay the bills, but it fills something, inside. So that's the important thing, right?
Right. Musicians are the same way. They don't do it for the money. You hear it many, many times over. I don't do it for the money. If I did it for the money, I'm a failure. But, most of them start out doing it not for the money. It really isn't. And it just feeds the soul,
Yeah, I honestly, I'd rather keep it that way. I have some friends and I've got nothing but respect for this, and I know how hard it is, that make their living exclusively from playing music in one form or another. And, they have to, a lot of them, they're in a couple bands, they're doing cover gigs, they're teaching, they're doing all kinds of stuff. And that's great. I think it's amazing. It's not for me. No. I like to do music the way I like to do it, which usually means I don't get paid for it.
I don't get paid for it.
That is what it is,
it feeds your soul. To hear, somebody love your song or something like that, it's got to be the greatest feeling in the world.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. All right, tell me a little bit, how's it going? You staying away from that demon virus out there? I mean, it hasn't caught up to you yet?
No, so far so good. I mean, a lot of people around me have gotten it. In one of the bands I'm in, everybody except me got it. Right. In another band that I'm in, a couple people got it. It's definitely out there. It just hasn't hit me. So whether that's hit me yet or never hits me, either one is good. I'll just I'll stick with not having it.
There's people out there that have it, they get tested, but they don't have a clue. I mean,
Yeah,
it's like they're like, I didn't know, and then there's other people. I've had buddies in the hospital just about
yeah,
dying. I've had buddies and friends die. It's
yeah.
like it's one end of the spectrum to the other, and it's crazy. It's just gotta get through it.
Yep.
And we're plowing away. It seems like who knows? Just when you think everything's getting better, it gets bad again. So whatever.
Yeah.
It's got to be exhausting.
I figure we got to be like on the home stretch at some point.
We
So
gotta be. So it's got to give someday. Someday it's gonna say, okay, you guys can go back to normal. Just I'm out. Who knows?
yeah.
Now, okay, when you're a guitar player, and you're very good at it, I must say.
Thanks, man.
Extremely freaking good at it. Now, when did you first pick up the guitar?
I think I was probably about 16 or something. I was actually kind of a late starter. I started my music stuff playing piano when I was a kid.
Oh wow!
And by around age 13 or 14, I was like, this isn't the thing for me. And I just kind of gave it up. And then a couple years later, I had all these friends in school that were playing guitars. They were bringing them in, and they were playing Randy Rhoads, and they were playing Wasp and Metallica. And I'm
Wasp.
like, wow, yeah, Wasp.
Yes.
So I was like, I want to do this. So I bought a guitar off a friend of mine, and then the rest is history. So
what kind of guitar was it?
What
was the first guitar?
It was the first guitar that I ever bought for myself and owned was a used Antares BC Rich Bitch copy.
Nice.
Marzios in the bridge. I mean, it was pretty sweet, and unfortunately, it fell over when I was at school, and the headstock snapped off, and that was the end of that. But what are you going to do?
You're going to buy a new one.
Exactly.
You got to go buy a new one. Now, you're sitting in your room. You're 16. Let's say you're 50. You're sitting in your room. You're staring at a poster on your wall. You're like, man, I want to be him. I want to do this. I want to do what he does. Who's that poster?
It really ends up it always comes back around to like Jake E. Lee, like Badlands era Jake E. Lee. That's what I really settled on. I mean, at first I had other influences, and I still do. I mean, like George Lynch, Warren DeMartini, even like some of the 70s guys like Jimmy Page and Mick Ralphs from Bad Company. But Jake E. Lee, when he left Ozzy and formed Badlands with Ray Gillen, that's what really sucked me in, because it was like this awesome combination of all the stuff I loved from the 70s and the 80s. And I was like, yeah, this is my jam. And I loved how he plays, and he just goes for it. He's not always perfect, but he's always Jake,
Right.
So.
And it was a total difference between him and when he was in Ozzy, and when Badlands. It was like, oh my God, it was so much better. There was so much more depth to the music and everything when he created that. I mean, and Ray Gillen, you unbelievable.
Can't go wrong with that.
No. So and they were kind of melodic. In a way, they had some really one of the first melodic kind of, I guess you could call them, that I first discovered that I loved. Yeah, you were a late bloomer, because them were bands that, toward the end of that was 89 with Badlands.
Yeah.
89. So so nice. You were kind of like, sucked into the melodic right off the rip.
Yeah, and I think the first thing that really grabbed me was watching that Round and Round video from Rat, and that
Nice.
part where DeMartini falls through the ceiling and drops on the table and plays that solo, and I was like, "Fuck yeah!"
He's like laying on his back. Yeah. Dude, I think that sucked everybody. And I was like, I want to be DeMartini, you know. And there was no way. I'd already tried playing guitar, and that didn't work out at all. But no, I couldn't get the. But DeMartini, he was absolutely one of my favorites, man. I mean, that guy
he's great.
Shred. And he always had them cool guitars, man. Especially the one that it was like Japanese looking.
Yeah,
with the swords on it, dude. That was. He always had a cool guitar, the snakeskin guitar, and good guitars.
he's definitely the one who influenced me to. That's why I started playing Charvel.
Really?
Right out of the gate. Yeah, I was like, wow, those look really cool. So,
and
that was my first real guitar.
Real guitar. I mean, we all had the off brands and stuff.
Yeah,
like that. I had off brand drums. I mean, it wasn't until way in my 20s that I actually got a Thomas set. So it was like,
oh, nice.
Whoa. Yeah, and then sold out years later, and then got another set, and it was like an off brand of Tama. Boom, got rid of that, and I got a Tama again. So it's like you go with what you can afford at the time, and then bam, you work your way up.
Hell yeah!
And as long as you can make it, you can make. Somebody told me you make anything sound the way you want, and
that's true.
It's like I watched guy from Dream Theater. Oh my god,
the guitar player,
drummer.
Oh,
Mike Portnoy.
Yeah.
I watched him play a Hello Kitty drum set that he totally freaking rocked, and I'm like, I couldn't do that, and I almost gave up again. I'm like, you know what? I'm done. This guy's playing Hello Kitty drum sets, and no. But yeah, hey. So your influences were like DeMartini, Jakey Lee. That's what got you started in it.
Yeah, I mean that's because I guess before I was playing guitar, like when I first started playing guitar, I was still listening to a lot of punk, a lot of new wave stuff like that. But once I started playing guitar, like a lot of especially the punk stuff, isn't really much of a challenge to play. I mean, it's a couple chords, not many guitar solos, and what there is it's not real difficult. I mean, it's great stuff, and I still love that stuff, but it wasn't real challenging to me as a guitar player. So the melodic rock in the '80s really kicked that in gear,
Right. So you said Badlands. Who else did you kind of follow, like late '80s, '90s? Who'd you kind of start to identify with and start to build your sound with?
It's there's so many, like, right. It's everything, like, and I think that's one of the good things is I don't think I sound like no. You would never listen to me and be like, oh, that dude listens to a lot of George Lynch. Well, yeah, nope. I do, but I also listen to 8 million other things. So right. Everything from, like the 70s, I love Led Zeppelin. Watching Song Remains the Same, the live Led Zeppelin movie was a huge influence on my stage presence and everything. And obviously Badlands, Rat, even Striper. I like the way they play. I like guitar harmonies and things like that.
They don't get enough credit for their sound. Their sound is incredibly good.
They're super talented.
Dude, they are. They are. I mean, their guitar, Michael and Oz are just fantastic. I mean,
yeah, they really are.
And then the drummer, he's that. Oh, I have never seen him, and I just asked a question in a group I'm in the other day. Like, any Striper fans out there, I might want to go see him, and everybody's like, "You need to go see these guys." I keep missing them, but it's like every time I hear them on like Hair Nation or something like that, love them, just love them.
Yeah, I'd love to see. I've never seen him either, and it's
really.
Yeah, it's there's a few bands that have slipped through the cracks, and they're definitely one of them. So it's on my list.
Now you mentioned Wasp earlier. Is Wasp one of them that slipped through your list?
No, definitely not. I've seen Wasp a couple times, but the most In fact, it was one of my most iconic gigs ever. I saw Wasp on the first album tour with Armored Saint and Metallica. So
Dude.
that was pretty solid.
Man.
Yeah,
That's prime there, dude. I mean, you still hear about that tour and
that was a
how
great tour.
right. Dude, I could. Oh, I'm so
Sneaking
jealous.
into the club, our fake IDs were still warm. It was good.
So
Good
warm.
time. So,
Hot off the press, man. I'm going
that's
to
right.
the show. No shit. Not a lot of people when they mention, like influences and what you really got into. Not a lot of people mention Wasp, and Wasp is one of my favorites. I mean,
Great songwriting.
he's fantastic, and it's like, but you don't hear a lot of people say that. You even don't hear a lot of people say rat. I mean, and that's one of my favorites. It's all about like you always hear Judas Priest, Led Zeppelin, Van Halen, Nugent. This you hear them, but
Yeah,
you don't really hear the other ones, and it's kind of cool to hear them ones. Two of my absolute favorites.
cool.
Yeah, and so you mentioned you were in bands and still a couple few bands now. What bands did you get started in?
Uh, Nobody like really. I mean, you can find some of our old stuff online. I was in a band. My first band was just like I'd been playing for like maybe 2 years, and I remember I auditioned for these guys, and we played "Wasted" from Def Leppard.
No
And
shit.
yeah, and I knew I was in the right place because when we got to the middle part, nobody knew what to do because nobody could figure that part out. So I was like, "Yep, this is the right place for me," because I didn't
Right.
know it either. So, but
Right.
that was one of the first. I was in that band for a while, and I hopped around to some other bands, and uh, and I started getting really serious with a band called Shotgun Alley. Um, Not the one from, I think it's Australia, that spells alley the right way. We spell it the wrong way, so it's ALLI. Um, you can
Nice.
find you can find a couple songs from them on YouTube and that sort of thing. And one of the songs that's on the first Far Cry album, the ballad "Heaven," was actually a Shotgun Alley song that
Oh,
we
really?
yeah. So we brought that over. That was a lot of fun. That was probably one of the best bands I've ever been in. To this day, I still think of that as one of the good ones for sure.
Nice. I that's why I always ask that question because I want to look it up. I do want to. I like to get a feel of where people started, and I know a lot of other people are like that. They okay, you're in this band now, but where did they come from? In them early years. I mean, that's when some of the great stuff is. Then you get the
Yeah.
more polished stuff later on in life. But Shotgun Alley, I'm definitely gonna look that up. And I do dig that song. And I would
Oh,
have never
cool. Thanks.
I do dig that song. I'm like, all right, cool. Heaven's that's a good tune. I really love that first album. That first album.
That was a good one.
It's like a heavier melodic, but then the second one, it's more melodic, and then balance just kind of balances it out. I mean, to
Yeah.
me, you're heavy in parts, and it works so well.
Thanks so much. Thanks so
Yeah.
much. It was really a challenge to put out a third album because new singer, bringing the band back, and getting new people, and just trying to. I mean, originally I had no intention of calling it Far Cry, but after we started putting songs together, I got a lot of feedback from a lot of people that I know, and they were like, "Dude, you just call it Far Cry. You got to call it Far Cry. It's still you. It's the songs are, you know, it still sounds like Far Cry. It's just got
Right.
different people in it." I'm like, "All right, whatever."
Right.
So
I didn't know that it wasn't the original, the other singer. I'm like, and I figured that out like a month ago. Wait a minute, it's perfect match. I mean,
oh,
really,
thanks.
except he's got like a little higher range, which I'm like, he's up there a little more, and I'm like, that's cool. And so it's, but I wouldn't have known unless I looked, and I really didn't look. So I'm like,
Cool.
yeah, so it works. And yeah, you needed to name this Far Cry.
Yeah, and it just, you know, I mean, because I like, you'll see those kind of raging debates anytime a band like changes a couple members. People are like,
Oh yeah,
they should call it a different name, and it's like, yeah, well, that's real easy to say when you're sitting on the outside, but when you're in the band, it makes it a lot easier to get your stuff out there rather than trying to explain it. It's like, well, those guys used to be Far Cry, but now they're this band because they, you know, and then nobody knows who you are, and it's, you know,
right.
there's some real challenges with that kind of stuff, and I get both sides of the issue, but Bob, going back to Bob, he really is, he's a solid vocalist, and all the backing harmonies on there, that's all Bob did all the vocals
Oh
on the,
really,
yeah, we do it live, but he layered all those vocals himself. He's really got some skill, you
dude?
know.
He's fantastic. I'm very impressed with that whole man. The Stay Away. That was the first song that you guys released, but I'm like Mr. Destiny. I think that's on that one's on there. Um, that one killer tune, killer. I
I'm
mean,
really glad you like that. That's kind of an off the wall tune, you know. It's a little
right.
different.
And I'm like, I love it. I think, I keep reminding it. I'm like, I hear that again. I hear that again. But, it kind of, it's a standout. It's not like it doesn't fit. It just stands out. It's like, whoa, okay, this is different. You might be doing something, you throw a CD on and you do other things, blah, 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 but then you go, wait a minute, you know, okay, something just hit me. Mr. Destiny, that's one of them, and I'm Your Man. That one's another one that could be released. I'm like, Stay Away is a good song, but there's so many more better ones on there. I
Well,
mean,
we honestly didn't pick which ones got released. The label,
the label always picks.
yeah,
I
it's
know.
their money, I guess. So
Right. Cavell says this is the one we're going with. I mean, okay, they got, hey, whatever. But you get the CD, you get to have them all anyway.
yeah,
No
exactly. You
big
can listen
deal.
to whichever ones you want.
Listen to it. This is one of them CDs where Balance is a great one where there ain't really, for me, there's not a skippable track, and
That's great, man.
that is hard to find anymore. Um, but there's not a skippable track. You don't sit there and go, "Oh, this one sucks." And oh, song 3's coming up. I got to get in there and skip it. No, this one doesn't have one. I mean, I've listened to it through. Nope, still not one I get tired of.
Thanks,
Now,
man. I really appreciate that.
you're the principal writer.
Actually, on this album, we kind of changed things up a little bit. I mean, I do a lot of the writing. Stay Away, I wrote the music, and actually Sean Pilata wrote the lyrics for that. Mr. Destiny is one of about 5 songs that Bob wrote. He brought
Oh
those to
wow!
the table, and he early on when we started working together, before we decided it was going to be called Far Cry, we were just sending songs back and forth, and he sent me a bunch of really good songs, and basically let me do whatever I wanted guitar wise on it, which is what I like to do. So he had a really nice song, and then I would just do my guitar thing, and layer a bunch of guitars in there. And Mr.
Huh.
Destiny's a perfect example of that, because the song was really good when he brought it to me, and I was like, I just started hearing all these guitar parts and harmony parts and different rhythms, and then I just kind of threw some stuff in there. So it's really nice to work with someone who's as prolific as Bob. So he had a lot to do with some of the writing. Like I said, like 4 or 5 tunes on there are solely written by him. There's a few collaborations, and then I brought a few to the table myself, and
Nice.
it's balanced.
It did. Perfect name for it. I mean, it is balanced. I mean, it is it just, for me, it works. I mean, it's and the layering. I mean, it's all good. I mean, there's, like I said, there's not a skippable track where you go, what the fuck were they thinking here on this one? That's hard to do anymore. I mean, with bands that are trying to release nowadays, a lot of them are just trying to push it and get something out there, and you're giving me 6 fillers with 2 good
Yeah,
ones and a cover tune. It's like, stop it. If take the time and release something good.
agreed.
And
Agreed.
and you had 10 years between the two. So
Yeah,
yeah,
well,
you had 10 years. I figured
it was a little longer than I had initially anticipated,
right,
but I did break up the band in like 2013. I was like, I'm
right.
not doing anything. I'm not going back to Far Cry. This is done. And I was 100% certain of that. And then I changed my mind. So never say never.
Never say never. We just didn't want to do music anymore, or just
I
didn't
had
want to do Far Cry anymore.
I didn't really want to do Far Cry anymore. I knew I would get back into music, but at the time I was also opening up a bar. So I kind of had to put some focus on that. I was quitting my job of 30 years
Oh,
and
wow.
just kind of opening up a bar out of nowhere. So I kind of needed to focus on that. I was really unhappy with the way, Far Cry was still existing at that time. But Ronnie, our bass player, had left to go join Bonfire. Um, and Mark had left right after the second album came out. He said he just really needed to focus on his personal life. And I've been friends with Mark since we were like teenagers, so I know him pretty well, and we're still friends. There's no animosity in anybody leaving or coming or staying or whatever. But just things worked out the way they worked out, and I just wasn't really happy with where things were going. So I said, you know what, I'm just gonna end this. I'm done with that. I'll get back into music at some point. Who knows what I'll do then? And then it ended up being another Far Cry album. Yeah. Plus, then I joined 2 other bands. So there you go. I'm busy.
Now we're like, okay, I had 10 years off, so I want it all back, 15 bands. Let's do this. What other bands you in? Tell everybody the other bands you're in.
Yeah, absolutely. I hooked up with it at the last Melodic Rock Fest in Chicago. Far Cry was playing, and I interviewed George Becker from Jaded Past on my podcast, and he called me up a couple weeks later and he said, "Hey, I got a weird question for you." He's like, "How would you like to play guitar for me at Melodic Rock Fest?" And I'm like, "Dude, that's like 2-3 weeks away." So I had to learn like the whole set. And it was only meant to be like temporary, but I had a good time doing it. George is a great guy to work with. He lets me do whatever I want on guitar, so I'm in, So
Right.
we just kept that going, and then I guess a couple years ago, I ended up the guys in Hit and Run asked me if I was interested, and I listened to their stuff. And I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. And then I realized they were only like 20 minutes away from me geographically, which never happens. So I was like, all right, let's give this a shot too. So they've got new material that they're pushing with labels right now. So hopefully you'll be able to see those at some point soon. Obviously, George and Jaded Past, we just released a live album. We're releasing singles here and there. We're working on a new album, so that there's more coming with that. Cool. So it's just a lot of stuff going on, which is good. Because if I don't have enough to keep me busy, I get a little crazy. So or crazier.
We're all crazy. It's just different levels at different moments.
Exactly.
All right. So now with 2020, us being off for 2020, did this have a lot to do with, help the writing process for Far Cry? Did it help get that back started, or was this coming way before that?
We finished recording and we finished the mixes. If I'm not mistaken, I think we finished the mixes right around the time when all of this hit. So we were done. Okay. It was really just a matter of looking for a label, finding someone that wanted to release it, that we wanted to release it with, and so fortunately we were able to work with AOR Heaven and George Siegel out in Germany, and he put this out, and An absolute pleasure to work with. I'm really sad that he's retiring, and AOR Heaven will be no more, because
Yeah.
you know, he's great, and he's really put out some great releases over the years. So
Nice. It seems like, you know, you picked the right time. I mean, really. I mean, you picked the right time because it seems like melodic rock is really taking off right now. You know, you have Far Cry, you have Heat, um, Eclipse, you have One
sure,
Desire, you got Dynasty, you got all the a lot of European bands. Then you got, you know, some American bands, Far Cry. You have Steel City. I mean, you know, melodic rock seems to be zip, you know, coming to the forefront right now, where it hasn't been for a very long time.
I'm hoping it keeps going in that direction. You know, and one of the true tests is going to be, you know, can we get people out to the shows? You know, regardless of what it is. So let's see what the attendance is like at M3 and Monsters of Rock Cruise and Creatures of the Night Festival and all that stuff. Let's see how that goes, and hopefully, because I mean, it's kind of a weird time. Stuff is opening up, but every state is different. Every country is different, and they're all changing all the time as far as
Right.
their rules and regulations. So it's definitely, it's a real challenge. We've had so many gigs that we were supposed to do or possibly going to do that just either disappeared or changed, and they're on hold. So, you know, like the M pre party is actually our first gig in
Right.
since Melodic Rock Fest, I believe.
Wow.
So,
Which is,
you know,
now you mentioned Monsters of Rock. I'm going to be going on that next month. You know,
yeah,
and attendance for that is always off the charts.
yeah, that's definitely, one of these days I gotta go. I'd like to obviously be involved in it, but I mean, even just going, just they really go out of their way to get some good bands there. I mean, that's really a nice lineup, because you got all the you know, the people that you would expect to see and hear, but then they throw in stuff like Pink Cream 69 or Hardcore Superstar,
Right.
or, you know, Shiraz Lane or something like that, and that stuff just kicks ass, and you don't get a chance to see those guys very often. So.
You know, they don't tour the states. I mean,
Right.
you don't get promoters won't take a chance on that, and I don't get it. You know, they won't bring like Eclipse. You know, you could do a Eclipse, Crazy Licks, Far Cry tour, boom, do a few shows. I mean, they're all and get it out there. I mean, really, you know, could get Far Cry on the boat.
Right. I'd love
That'd be
to.
nice. I
That
mean,
would be freaking awesome.
there's a couple of there's actually there's only like one that's on the boat right now. I'm going, what the hell are they doing on the boat? And a lot of people I talk to are like, we ain't even going to see them. And it's just, you wonder how they're on there, and there's no way in hell anybody listens to them. But, and I'm not naming names because I'll get all the hate mail
Yeah, of
and
course.
all that. But a lot of people agree with me, and it's like, what happened here? There's so many other great bands that you have to choose from. Why is this? What, you know? I don't know.
And it could be anything. It could be, you know, somebody in that band is also in another band, and wanted to use the opportunity of them already being on the boat to get their other band, or they know somebody. I mean, there's so much stuff that goes on behind the scenes with any of this stuff. And then you add in the fact that no matter what the bill is, there's always going to be people that are like, oh, you should have done this, you should have done that.
Oh yeah, oh
So,
yeah. You know, I try to stay away from that. You know, because I sit there every year. I want, oh, it'd be great to have these guys. These, and they don't get on. It's like, okay, but we have 50 other ones, so that's cool. You
yeah,
know,
exactly.
you know. But you know, and Larry always has a way of throwing, you know, new ones in there. It's just like Dave Dillman over there at the Emprey.
Yeah.
I always watch for to see what he's going to do, and when he threw out Far Cry, I was like, oh my god, you know, this he nailed it again. I think this is his best lineup. I mean, he's had some killer ones. This one absolutely is hands down his best one. I think you got Station on there, FARCRY. I think Wild America's on there, a couple others I can't remember, but
Babylon Shakes.
Babylon Shakes. Yes, Babylon Shakes is on there. I love Babylon Shakes. I mean, Chris, great guy, and I mean, Jesus, I think Dave Dillman knocked it out of the park with this one.
Yeah, he seems really excited about it too, and that's it's like it's really rewarding on a personal level when you get to play a show where the guy putting the show together is really excited about the bands that are on the bill, including ours. I mean, Dave was like, I'm really happy to have you guys on the show, and it's great. You don't feel like you had to push for it or like, all right, fine, because you asked me 8 million times on the bill. He he just came right out and said, yeah, I'd love to have you on the bill. And I'm like, all right, great. When? So
when and where? Yeah, you guys are playing the Cancun Cantina. That is such a great place, man.
I've never been there yet. The last time we played the AM pre-party was Sonoma's.
Yes, tight little. He's outgrowing that place.
Weird ass stage right there with that little brass railing and stuff.
Right. I mean, 2015 and 16 I went. 15 was my first, and it was like so many people packed into this one little place. And then 16, I think I was in the parking lot the whole time because I was like, I'm not fighting people in there. And it was just like, and now he grew up and it's in the Cancun Cantina. Cancun Cantina, you're going to love it. It is absolute. I was there in May. Brad Lee did a show there. And, we put on a show there. And it was, I'd heard about it, seen pictures, but once you get there and see it, and it is such a great venue.
I can't wait.
Oh, you're gonna love it. Sound is great. You'll love that PA.
Good deal.
Stage up. Oh, it's gonna be. You're gonna love it. Touring now. FARCRY's been with some pretty big names. I've noticed. When you're doing a little bit of research, you kind of run across. What was your most favorite gig that you did so far?
Probably, well, there's a couple, there's a few standouts. I would say probably taking the top spot would have to be Firefest in Nottingham in 2012. That was pretty special. When you're the first band on a Sunday and it's a full house and they're singing along to your songs, there is nothing better than that. Nice. That was very humbling experience, and just that whole show is just run like a family. A close second to that, and sometimes I even feel like I like that one a little bit better, but is Melodic Rock Fest 2 in 2010 in Chicago. That was when we kind of broke out into the scene. I think we had played like maybe one other gig before that or something like that, and people liked us, and it was really, because you don't know. You feel like you've got a good album. You're not sure you can pull it off live, but then you do it and people love it, and you're like, okay, hey, let's do this. Yeah.
Right. Everything comes together. The stars align.
Yep.
That's it. Firefest. Nice.
Yeah, it was a beautiful thing.
You guys are really hard to get a lot of it for. You try to look for things, and there's not a lot out there. Oh, I will tell you one thing. Go look at your Spotify.
Okay.
There is. Okay, you have Balance on there.
Yeah.
Somebody put another album on there that's not you guys.
Yeah, it's messed up. Like there's a few different FARCRYs. There's a country duo. There's a Hungarian speed metal band. There's an alternative band from Seattle. So there's a few FARCRYs out there. And then don't even get me started about the video game. At least once a week I have to, reply to someone who checks in at FARCRY with a picture of the video game, because that's what they think it is. And I'm like, dude, this is my band page. Come on, put it out. Yeah.
I'm here, man. Look at me.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
It is what it is.
Right. Hey, getting your name out there, no matter how it is always getting your name out. Somebody reached out to you, you said, "Hey, this is my band page." They're going to check out the band now.
Yeah, true story. True
Love the
story.
video game, like the video game, love the band.
That's the way it should be. That's the
Right.
way it should be.
Exactly. It should be. Yeah, who knows? Favorite song of yours to play live, and out of your whole catalog, um, what song do you have the most fun playing live?
I
Everybody
think
has their baby, you know.
probably for me it would be "She's Crazy" from High Gear.
Nice.
I've just always loved playing that. I enjoy singing, and there's some nice harmonies in there, and it's a relatively simple song to play, so you can have fun with it. It's real easy to, kind of put on your performer hat and really just kick some ass while you're playing it.
Right.
And I really like that because some of our stuff can get a little bit more technical, and I have to focus a little bit more, and then I can't, let it go.
Right.
But yeah, that's a fun one, and we played the ballad from Optimism in the UK at Firefest. And that was a lot of fun because I got to use like an acoustic and on the stand and then back up and play the song. I always wanted to do something, so that was kind of cool.
I made it. I could do the acoustic.
That's right.
And back up.
Right. Now I'm a rock star.
Now I'm a rock star, dude. All right, we're here. That's freaking awesome. Now, all right, you do Friday Night with Fry.
I do.
Tell everybody about that. They might not know about it. I'm going to start advertising that, after here. And well, what's the podcast about? Let everybody know.
It started out, I actually, when I was at Firefest, I spoke to Steve Price, who was the program director at the time for ARFM. And I asked him how things were going. And he said, well, could use a few more presenters. And I said, well, I could do a show. And he was like, oh, really? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And he said, okay, well, after you get home, give me a shout and we'll figure it out. Let's do it. And then I went home and I'm like, holy crap, what did I just do? Because I had no idea how to do this stuff at that time. I didn't have any software. I didn't know the first thing about it. So I ended up putting together a 2-hour show. I kept it pretty much 100% melodic rock. A lot of European, Scandinavian bands, obviously, and then some classic 80s stuff. And it was a 2-hour show at the time, and it went pretty well. People seemed to really like it, and he asked me to make it 3 hours. So I was like, all right, I could do that. And now it's kind of morphed into, like, at its heart, there's a lot of melodic rock in there. I play all the new stuff from, Frontiers, AOR Heaven, all the melodic rock labels out there. But I also do some other stuff. It's basically, as long as it's rock, I'll throw it in there. So sometimes it can get a little modern or maybe even a little bluesy or whatever, and I try and mix it up. And that's basically what it is. And I do interviews, like you're doing right now. So it's a lot of fun. And, it's kind of a labor of love. It takes a lot of time to put it together, as I'm sure you well know exactly how much work goes into that. But it's a lot of fun. And it really, I did it because I knew that I was going to kind of shut down FARCRY, and I wanted to keep my name out there and not have people think that I forgot about them. So that's what I did. And I just can't stop now.
To do something, you can't stop. I mean, you gotta have your face out there. Keep your face out there. Keep what you're doing, and people don't forget about you.
Exactly. That was the important thing, because people do forget. If you disappear for a couple of years,
right?
People don't remember you. So.
Oh, he left. He's gone.
Yeah.
It's no one right here, man. Whatever happened? Where are they now?
Exactly.
And a lot of time, who said it? I think I was listening to Eddie Trunk one day. I listened to his show. And you get people that are always like, what happened to this band? What happened to that band? and he's the same as I say. Go on Google, type in their name, and
Yeah,
I guarantee you they're still around. They're still doing shit. You just lost touch.
right. Exactly.
You know, there's ways to find everything, and they're out there. You'd be surprised. Everybody is still out there in one way or the other, but you've got to look. I mean, you got to take the time.
Yeah, it's like the old days when we wanted to go find stuff by new bands, we had to go look for it. You know,
Go to the record store and go like
yeah,
this. I mean,
exactly.
constantly, okay, and you buy it because it's got a cool cover.
Right, exactly.
Okay,
These
this
guys
one,
look super cool.
right? You get home, it's junk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I
Some of
won't
the
bring up any names, but there were a couple real
right,
stinkers out there. But
Metallica Kill 'Em All. That was like the stupidest album cover, and I don't know how many times I've seen it, and I was like, no. And then they come out with Ride the Lightning, and I'm like, oh, I like electric chairs. Okay,
yeah,
I'll check these guys out. Blew my mind.
yeah,
Some album covers are junk and they're really good. Other album covers are like super fantastic. You get them home, you're like, that's garbage. But
yep, 100%.
100%. Album that changed your life. Tell me, there's always somebody's got an album that just that album right there changed the way I think about everything. For me, it was Judas Priest Point of Entry. Absolutely changed my whole vision on everything. And not a lot of people say that one. And it's all different with everybody. Everybody has that one album. What is that one album of yours that just changed your way of thinking?
I think it would. And I mentioned it before, but I think I often the weird thing is I don't really like live albums much. I don't listen to a lot of them. I'm really not into them. But for some reason, Led Zeppelin's "The Song Remains the Same" because you could go, see the midnight showing at the movie theater and stuff,
Right.
and get real high before you went and all whatever other shit we did back then. But
A lot of shit.
yeah, a lot of shit.
That could be
But
a whole nother show.
But man, I saw that and I was like, oh my God, I want to do this. I want to be that cool. I want to, because it brought together the whole performance thing. And yeah, is Jimmy Page the best technical guitarist ever? Of course not. But he's doing his thing and
Badass.
he brought something to the table, and his performance was, and just the whole band. I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to play it like, larger than life,
Right. Get on that
So that
stage.
was a big one for me.
I don't care who you are. I mean, you could be the most technical dude in the world, but if you're just standing there being all technical, you ain't doing shit for me. If you're up there and you're being a badass, a beast, you're larger than life and you got this and you're not the greatest guitar player in the world, but your presence, you're
Yeah.
top notch to me. I mean, you don't have to be the most technical person in the world. No way.
And honestly, a lot of people don't even notice anyway. I mean, like,
No.
if unless you're a guitar player and you really or you really understand how music works, when somebody's doing, their sweep picking or whatever, most people don't know what the hell that is, and they don't understand that is a technical accomplishment. It's just like, oh yeah, that I guess that's pretty cool. Seems fast,
Seems
but like, it's not something that I think that's one of the first things I gave up. Is I remember, like, in my first band, and we were, like, oh, we could be like Queensryche, or like, and even at the time I said, well, yeah, the thing is with Queensryche, I love them, absolutely love them, but they're not going to end up as huge as like a Poison or a Motley Crue, whose technical ability is somewhat questionable at times.
very.
But it doesn't matter because
They were larger than life. The
Yeah.
attitude, exactly. I mean, what you portray. It doesn't matter. And you mentioned Queensryche. Queensryche, Chris DeGarmo is absolutely phenomenal guitar player.
Hell yeah.
Did
Great
not get
writer.
a great writer. When he left after Empire, that band went down. I'm sorry. It just, when you have him and Jeff collaborating, they were firing on all cylinders. Once DeGarmo left, I'm sorry, they just took a shit. And you take that for granted, that
Yeah.
these two need to be together. And that band hasn't been the same since. And, now they're not the same at all anymore.
No, we actually we opened for them in August, like the new
Really?
version, the Todd LaTorre version,
Right.
and they sound freaking great. I mean, they sound killer. Todd sounds just like Jeff did
He
back in the
does.
day.
He does.
At the risk of making an enemy out of Queensryche, I think the songwriting just isn't there. I love the new material, and it sounds great. It sounds like old Queensryche, but it's like the heart is missing,
Right.
But
And
it's still great music, and they're incredible musicians, and I'd never take that away from them. And I love Todd's voice, and they're pretty nice guys too, I gotta say. So,
Yeah. And they've always been one of my favorite bands, and I'll never take anything away from them. I'll never say I hate the new version or whatnot.
Sure.
I'm just glad that people are putting music out. It is what it is. Some I get into, some I don't. But if you're getting into rock music and you like the new version of Queensryche, fantastic. You like the music, great. I'm all for it. You're just have at it. They did a set one day on Monsters of Rock. Or not one day, but on the boat they did. One set of theirs was old. The other set was new. So they're like, pick which one you want to go to.
Yeah.
This one we're going to play a lot of the old stuff. This one we're going to play more of the new stuff, and both times equally filled up.
No doubt, no doubt.
So, but it is what it is, and a lot of when people change lineups, like you said earlier, some people fall off, some people jump on board.
Right.
And, I'm just happy that musicians are still out there putting it out. If the band carries on, DeGarmo left because of what he wanted. You left music because at that time that's what you wanted.
Exactly.
You've got to understand that they're human beings. They don't want to do. Who would have thought some of these guys would have been doing it well into their 60s? They didn't. They thought, oh, this is my 20s. This is going to be great. I got to live it up while I can.
Right.
And now, in their 40s and 50s, they're going, you know what? I've had enough. I've done everything I've wanted to accomplish. And, so they get to fill a new lead singer or a new bass player. So what? Let them play.
That's exactly how I feel. Like regardless of how I feel about a new version of a band, I would never in a million years say, well, they shouldn't be doing it because I don't like it as much as the old version. Who the hell am I to say that?
Right.
Because, the audience will speak, and if it isn't going over well, it's not going to go over well. And quite honestly, a lot of people just don't give a shit. They're like, hey, I don't care. As long as I can go see them play Take Hold of the Flame and some stuff from Operation Mindcrime, I'm good. I don't care who's in the band as long as it sounds like Queensryche. And there's a lot of people out there like that, so it's fine. More power to them, man.
Right. I get a little because Jeff Tate has that voice.
Yeah.
So I went to M3. I think it was 16 or 15, one of the two, and Todd was. I'm like, okay, this will be, and he come out, he's going to do Take Hold the Flame. And I'm like, well, this is it. Do I stay or do I go? And I told the wife, and I told a couple buddies, I was like, if he don't hit this, I'm out the door. Nailed it. I was like, all right, I'm here. I'm a Todd fan. You can do it. Do it. Hell yeah. And
honestly, I think he hits it better than Jeff Tate can now. So,
that's what I hear.
I mean, Jeff's still Jeff, but Jeff is a little older, and you can't sing like that forever. He's still got a great voice, but like some of that stuff, and Todd, like you said, nails it.
Nails it. I mean, he's younger. I mean,
Yeah.
when you're a vocalist, it kind of unless you've taken such good care of your voice, it's still a young man's game. You know,
Yeah, for
even
sure.
even playing drums, you're not as limber as you used to be. And, you don't have it anymore. What I could do when I was 20 is no, I can't do that now. I don't even try.
Yeah.
I'll break something. I'll hurt myself. You know.
No, anything. I mean, like I have to really make sure now when I sit down with my guitar, I got to do a little warm up first because I don't want to mess stuff up. Because
That's tough.
you don't want to like pull something or
Right.
strain something. So I'm like, okay, this is how
You,
it's gonna be.
you pull
What are
things you never knew you had. It's like, what the? How did I pull that by doing that? Ah, it just we're not getting old. Don't even say that. It's just the body's going. Okay, take it easy, buddy.
Yeah, we're aging like fine wine. It's cool.
Fine wine.
It's cool.
Yes, I'm aging more like spoiled milk, but that's a different story. If you had last question, if you had one person that you could collaborate with, that you would this would be the ultimate for you, who would you like to collaborate with?
Is it living or dead?
Yeah, it could go either. I
Okay.
guess. Yeah. Most
I
people
guess
go, who's living or dead. I'm like, okay, yeah.
I mean it's tough because I've always liked writing with singers and
Right.
I'd love to collaborate or write something with like Ray Gillen, which
Oh
obviously
God.
can't happen, but
Oh God.
that's really it's such a big part of my style. And in the early '90s, man, I really was into Badlands, and I was like
Oh
the
yeah.
stuff I was writing. I was really like adopting that whole attitude of songwriting and playing. I went through a huge phase there for a while, and which I isn't normally what I do, but I was really into it. And I would love to write with because Ray's just got so much emotion to his voice,
Right.
you know.
He
So
does. I mean, it is, and he just was. He was a special person. I mean, he just
yeah,
absolutely killer. Gone way too young, way too freaking young. He's had so much more to give,
yeah,
but
for sure.
we can't choose who stays. I mean, but at least we got some from him, and he lives on through the speakers.
Yep.
Always, always. Anything else you want to say? I've had you for about an hour. I'll let you go get so
Well, first of all, thanks so much for having me on the show. I
oh,
really appreciate
not a
it.
problem.
I've been looking forward to it. I'm glad you reached out, and definitely let's do it again sometime.
Oh hell yeah.
Um, and just anyone out there listening, thank you so much for continuing to carry the torch of listening to rock and roll and live rock and roll and buying new music and listening to new music. I mean, that's why we do what we do, is so that people will listen to it and enjoy it as much as hopefully we do when we're creating it. So and go check out Far Cry, Jaded Pass, Hit and Run,
Hell
all that
yeah.
stuff too. So, and
Hell yeah.
we'll be at the M pre party. Um, what's the date on that? I
Yeah,
I
hold on.
should know this by heart, but I don't.
Well,
So
we
it's
should, but
nuts.
we don't. I got the flyer here. Hold on. Got the flyer. Bang.
Nice, May 5th,
May
Thursday night.
5th. Yes.
Thursday night, right before the M3 festival itself. You can come check us out. Station is fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing Wild America, Babylon Shakes. What is that, Zenora? I'm
Sonora.
not familiar with them, but I'm looking forward to seeing them too. So
They
it's going to be
are
a good show.
they are very good. They're like I had them on the show. They're really good music. They're young kids that are really good. They're making names for themselves. They're not and they're putting out good music. I mean, they really bottom line, their music is good. Very this lineup here, Far Cry, Zenora, Wild America's fantastic. Love Billy, love them guys. Station absolutely fantastic. Babylon Shakes. I said it before. I'll say it again. Fantastic. This lineup is great. Everybody needs to be at this show. I mean, pack this place. And you know what? From what I've heard and what I've seen online, I think a lot of people are going to be at that show.
I think so too.
Yeah, it's a really great lineup. I'm glad you're a part of it. You know, I'm glad I saw you out there, and I was like, right when I saw it, I was like, I got to talk to him. You know, because it's one of them names that I didn't know was back until I saw that. I'm like, okay, wait a minute here. So then I had to go look, and I'm like, oh, they have a new album out. I don't know how I didn't find it, but I'm like, okay, cool. I got to check it out. You know, so when things happen, you know, I keep a lookout for what's going on, and you know, things hit. I go, wait a minute, do they have a new one? There it was. So, you know, thank you, Dave Dillman. You know, got me some new music. You know, so I knew I had to talk to you. I was like, okay, you know, I looked, and it's been since 2011, 2012, I think it was.
2011.
Yes, it's Optimism. I'm like, oh wow, so cool. But I'm looking forward to being there, come see you guys and everybody else.
Cool, man.
Cool, man. All right, so everybody, be there, check it out. I will leave you, everybody, with I'll play "Stay Away" from the new album Balance, which is a great song. So thank you so much for being here, taking the time to talk and get the word out more about FARCRY and all your other projects you got going on.
Thanks a lot, Mike. It was a pleasure, man. And I'll see you in May. Maybe we'll have a beer or something.
May. Hell yeah. All right, brother.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
You too. All right, we're going to get this song playing, and this is "Stay Away" by FARCRY, if I can find it. Oh, there it is. Wait a minute. There it is. All right, "Stay Away" by FARCRY. Enjoy.
Just another broken heart. These memories in my heart, tearing me apart. Just another day.
All right. Oops. Hey, all right. I don't have one coming up. I think I have. Wait, I might have something coming up Thursday. I got to make sure. I got to make sure of the date. But I'm pretty sure I got something coming up this Thursday. If not this Thursday, it's next Thursday. But Saturday the 22nd, we're going to do another special, more kind of edition one, Monsters of Rock edition one. The ladies from Chef It Up, who basically hold Cooking with Rock Stars, the challenge, they do the challenge of the cocktail, the rock and cocktail competition. They do all kinds of stuff. Gina and Lisa will be on the show the 22nd, I think. Yeah, 22nd, next Saturday. Join us because she's got something cooked up where she's gonna do something. They bake cupcakes like me, cupcakes, stuff like that. So she said they want to do something cooking related, cruise related, because we're getting ready almost cruise time, less than 27 days, I think. So we're gonna get them on, do something fun, turn it into a little rock and roll cooking show. What do you think? That'd be cool, right? Hey, I'll try to do what they do. I don't think I'm gonna have as much success as they do, but that's on the 22nd. That'll be at like 2:00 in the afternoon on a Saturday. So spend the Saturday afternoon with us and get a good recipe. I'm sure it'll be good. Sure it'll be good. But I will post on what I got coming up. I can't remember the dates right now. I got Tony Dio gonna stop by. We're gonna talk about albums. I think that's the 29th. Don't quote me. I'll put everything out there. But thank you again being here. Had a blast. Go check out FARCRY. I'll post some links up tomorrow. And so you can just go check out the band because they're really good. Melodic rock, kind of heavier melodic rock. I love it. I mean, I'm really digging what's coming out nowadays. Like I said, with like Heat, One Desire, Kiss and Dynamite. I mean, you got so many bands hitting it right now, and it's not getting oversaturated. Really, it isn't. There's still a lot of great ones out there that stand out, and they all stand. They're all out there. They're all good. Check them all out. I mean, most of them are good, kind of, I guess. All right. Well, I'll leave you tonight. Thank you for being here, and I will see you very soon. If not Thursday, next Saturday, 22nd. Stay